The moon that remembers. They used to say you shouldn't stare too long at a blood-red moon. Not because it would hurt your eyes, because eventually, it might stare back. On Thursday night, August 27th, the moon will begin disappearing into the Earth's shadow. Not completely. That's the part that bothers the old stories. Almost the entire moon will turn dark red, while a thin sliver remains illuminated at the top. Scientists call it a deep partial lunar eclipse. The old people had another name for it, the watching moon. According to a piece of Appalachian folklore that was supposedly passed down among isolated mountain communities, there were certain nights when the moon wasn't reflecting sunlight at all. It was reflecting memory. The moon, they believed, kept a record of everything that happened beneath it. Every murder, every burial, every person who disappeared without explanation, every promise made in the dark, and every face that was forgotten. Most nights, the moon was too bright to see those memories. But during an eclipse, the Earth's shadow supposedly covered the moon's eye. And when that happened, the things it had been watching could briefly look back. There was supposedly one rule: never count the stars during the eclipse. The story says that if you count them, you'll eventually discover there is one more star than there should be. Don't look for it, because the extra star isn't a star. It's a place. And something is standing there. There is another old story. It says that during certain lunar eclipses, animals become aware of something humans cannot see. Dogs refuse to go outside. Horses become restless. Birds disappear from the trees. And cats sit perfectly still, staring upward. Not at the moon. Behind it. According to the legend, the red moon is a warning that something has crossed the boundary between worlds. The thin silver portion of the moon is supposedly the last piece of the old sky, still visible. Once it disappears, the boundary is closed, and when the silver returns, something may have crossed with it. The strangest part of the August eclipse is the timing. The moon will be almost completely swallowed by Earth's shadow. For a short while, nearly the entire lunar disk will glow a dark copper red. But a tiny portion will remain illuminated. A little silver crescent hanging above the darkness. And that's where the old superstition gets interesting. The folklore says, don't watch the red part, watch the silver. Because the red is the moon being covered. The silver is the moon being exposed. And according to the story, the silver is where you might notice something that wasn't there before. A second shadow. A moving speck. Tiny black mark. Something crossing the illuminated surface. Something that appears to be moving against the direction of the moon's motion. Of course, there's always an explanation. A satellite. A bird. An aircraft. A piece of space debris. A flaw in the camera. Your eyes adjusting to darkness. There is always an explanation. Until there isn't. There is one final piece of the legend. It supposedly came from an old cemetery caretaker who lived alone beside a churchyard in the mountains. Every 18 years, he said, the same kind of moon returned. Every time it did, he marked the date on the wall. He had 4 dates written there. 4 eclipses. 4 names beneath them. The names belonged to people who had disappeared. The caretaker refused to explain what connected them. But shortly before he died, someone found him sitting outside beneath the moon. He was staring upward. His hands were shaking. And when they asked him what he was looking at, he reportedly whispered, "It's not the moon that's disappearing." Then he pointed toward the red sky. "It's us." So Thursday night, if you're outside when the moon turns red, look up. Watch the shadow move across it. Watch that tiny silver piece remain above the darkness. And remember something, a lunar eclipse is perfectly natural. There is nothing supernatural about it. Nothing to fear. Nothing hiding in the darkness. Nothing watching from the other side. Probably. But if your dog suddenly refuses to look at the moon, if the birds go silent, if your radio fills with static, or if you look at that little silver sliver and swear, just for a second, that something moved across it, don't blink. Because according to the old story, the first person who sees it isn't the person being watched. They're the person being found.